Hey guys, welcome back to another video from the Decision Desk HQ YouTube channel. My name is Ryan Gest, Elections Data Fellow here at DDHQ, and today we'll be taking a look at some of our earliest insights into the 2024 presidential election. As things currently stand, Democratic President Joe Biden and former Republican President Donald Trump appear poised to win their respective parties' nominations again next summer. Both candidates have their share of vulnerabilities, leading their latest predicted nomination odds to range from about 70 cents to 75 cents. Biden's age and physical health, as well as Trump's legal problems and lukewarm primary competition, could interfere with either one of them winning the nomination, leaving their parties to scramble to identify an alternative. According to an August poll conducted by DDHQ and News Nation, approximately 52% of Americans said that they were, quote, very concerned about Biden's cognitive health, possibly affecting a potential second term, and approximately 65% of voters said that they believed another candidate should challenge him for the Democratic nomination. California Governor Gavin Newsom and Vice President Kamala Harris would be the most likely alternative nominees for the Democratic Party, while either Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, or South Carolina Senator Tim Scott could replace Trump. That being said, Biden and Trump are the unequivocal favorites to represent their parties on the ballot next November. And with that in mind, we can use Yale University professor Ray Fair's presidential vote share equation, in which our analysis suggests that Joe Biden would secure 50.1% of the two-party popular vote in the general election, taking into account only macroeconomic indicators and structural factors. We have noted a Trump effect in the previous two presidential elections, wherein the former president, Trump, has underperformed in fundamentals by an average of 4.4%, a trend that would further support another Biden victory in the national popular vote. However, given the expected pro-Republican bias of the Electoral College, that would effectively translate into a dead heat battle for 270 electoral votes, the magic number needed to win the White House. On that note, if the election were held today, the deciding states would be Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada. At this point, Michigan and Georgia seem likely to lean just slightly to the left of the tipping point in favor of Democrats, while Wisconsin and North Carolina just slightly lean to the right in favor of Republicans. And so, with that summary in mind, let's begin our deep dive into the three crucial data points we're tracking as we approach the primaries. Number 1, fundamentals. That includes macroeconomic indicators, structural factors, and the Trump effect. As we discussed, according to fundamental factors, the 2024 presidential election is positioned for a dead heat in the national popular vote, although there is growing evidence that Trump is likely to underperform those expectations. The aforementioned presidential vote share equation, championed by Yale University professor Ray Fair, has been a leading causal predictive model of presidential election results for nearly half a century. Fair's equation includes macroeconomic and structural factors directly affecting American voters' decisions about their partisan preference in the election. His most recent update from summer of 2023 predicts that Biden would win 50.1% of the two-party popular vote, while a Democratic nominee other than Biden, such as Newsom or Harris, would win 48%. Now, although Biden has struggled with relatively poor macroeconomic indicators, most notably high inflation, structural factors do still favor him in 2024. He is an incumbent president seeking re-election, and the Democratic Party has only controlled the White House for one term. Meanwhile, Fair believes that there is growing evidence for a consistent residual effect in Trump's underperformance, as he fell below fundamental expectations by an average of 4.4% in 2016 and 2020. The table shown on your screen right now compares the projected Democratic presidential popular vote to the actual share, and then computes the difference between the outcomes. Democrats were only expected to win 45.7% of the vote in 2016 and then 48.8% of the vote in 2020, but ended up receiving 51.2% and then 52.2% of the two-party vote share, respectively. So per that data, we can deduce that 2024 offers a much more favorable base environment for the Democratic nominee than the past two elections. And even when you consider the pro-Republican bias of the Electoral College, if Trump underperforms fundamentals again by 3 percentage points or more, he will not win the presidency, according to Fair's equation. However, it should be noted that if Trump loses the GOP nomination to DeSantis, Scott, or Haley, the 2024 election fundamentals will shift radically in favor of the GOP. Fair's model would predict a tie in the popular vote between Biden and any of those three potential nominees. These candidates come closer to a quote-unquote generic Republican nominee, and unlike Trump, lack a record of underperformance. The former president, Donald Trump, underperformed GOP House candidates nationwide by over 2 percentage points in 2020, losing 4 key states, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, where GOP House candidates outperformed Democrats. If Republicans nominate someone other than Trump, they will probably run closer to this generic Republican, improving in particular among Trump's margins in southern ancestral Republican areas. Data point number 2, general election polling. At the time of analysis, polling indicates a tight general election race between Biden and Trump. RCP's polling average as of October 20th has Trump marginally ahead with 44.2% to Biden's 44.0%. Meanwhile, although DeSantis has based a lot of his pitch to Republican voters around his perceived electability, the Florida governor has actually been polling worse against Biden head-to-head, down 43.8% to 44.8%. Finally, as shown in this table here, incumbent presidents throughout history have often experienced lower approval ratings and head-to-head polling numbers with potential opponents at this point in the election cycle, meaning voters tend to choose against them in polls before the general election is really underway. And with that in mind, assuming that Biden gains in polling over the next 13 months, similar to how President Obama and Trump did in 2012 and 2020, then Biden is tracking toward an approximate 3 to 7% national popular vote win. This aligns with the expectation outlined in Section 1 after combining Fair's base model with an expected negative residual effect. Section number 3, Electoral College Bias and Dynamics. The GOP has enjoyed a favorable structural bias in the Electoral College in recent cycles, as shown here, which DDHQ expects to continue in 2024 based on our in-house analysis. The Electoral College issue for Democrats in recent elections, especially in close elections, centers on the concept of wasted votes. Specifically, the Democratic Party has increasingly built substantial popular vote margins in large, deep blue states that offer no real additional benefit in the Electoral College. Take the state of California, for instance, where Joe Biden won the state's 55 electoral votes in 2020 by a margin of 5.1 million votes. Biden would have received all of California's electoral votes whether he won by 5.1 million or just one single vote. When you extend this out to all 50 states and Washington, D.C., Democrats wasted 15.1 million votes compared to the Republicans' 8 million. That difference of 7.1 million votes between the two parties is roughly equivalent to Biden's national popular vote margin in 2020, and approximately his combined margin of victory in California and New York. Now, as of right now, the 2024 Electoral College bias is unlikely to be as pro-Republican as it was in 2020, as political coalitions continue to change and maneuver. Right now, Georgia, Arizona, and Texas are projected to move toward Democrats, while Nevada and Wisconsin are projected to move toward Republicans. Pennsylvania and Michigan, on the other hand, are expected to remain roughly constant. That is all for this Decision Desk HQ video though. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to click that like button down below if you did indeed like the video, and subscribe to the channel while you're at it. Also check out more content from our channel here, and we'll catch you next time.